So hydrogen cells, so electropunk.
Yeah.
So they could technically see. Then that's not anachronistic because they did exist.
Yeah.
But they weren't widely.
And it's the widely used, like Steam Boy.
Steam Boy.
Steam Boy, that's kind
Just
of like a
thinking that.
hydrogen cell. And so it's anachronistic because they couldn't get it that small, that powered, and that realised at the time, even though they had it in theory.
Yeah.
So this because you think you can do it, which a lot of them did think they could do it.
Yeah.
Steampunk gives them, well, what if they actually do?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So let's look at pop culture.
All right.
I'm going to name all around us.
Oh.
I'm going to name 2 TV shows.
All right.
Legend, which starred Captain Jack. No, not Captain Jack. Colonel Jack O'Neill.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as. Insert name here.
Yeah.
From Stargate.
Yeah.
He was an inventor.
Mm-hmm.
In a similar vein was the TV show Briscoe County Jr.
Yep.
And that had both steampunk, rocket punk, both steampunk, rocket punk, and diesel punk in it, as well as some arcane.
Yep.
So those are 2 TV shows.
Now, was that recovered, or was that built on purpose to be like that? So, is it technology's collapsed, so we're just grabbing anything we can and cobbling it together?
No, well, there was an inventor in Briscoe County Jr., played by John Aston, who was Gomez Adams in the original TV series of the Addams Family. Professor Wickwire, he built an airship. He built a rocket that got repurposed to run on train tracks, because Briscoe desperately needed to get somewhere in a real hurry that just happened to be near the train tracks. He had that. There was a bounty hunter who had this cool suit that was bullet resistant and had tasers in it.
Anachronistic out the
Anachronistic out the wazoo. Special filter goggles, and yeah, so it was very cool. So yeah, very anachronistic.
Okay, I'm going to throw a show at you.
Okay.
See if you think it's steampunk and
Sure.
what sort. Gilligan's Island.
Bamboo punk. They built everything out of bamboo.
I thought coconut punk.
Coconut punk, yeah. Couldn't fix the hole in the side of the boat.
Couldn't fit, but could make just about everything
Yeah.
else you can imagine.
Radio, houses.
Yeah.
I think they had a plane at one stage.
Well, at the very end of it, didn't they build a rocket and there was the cartoon spin-off, which was Gilligan's Planet?
Yes. Yeah, no, bamboo rockets don't work.
No.
They don't hold air.
And they're not trees either, they're
No,
grass.
they're grass.
Educational.
Yeah.
Another TV show then?
Okay, go on.
Well,
Embraced.
Actually, I'll make it a computer game.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'll make it a movie.
Hope you've got the budget.
9,
Ah, yes.
which is the futury one with the toys and sort of stuff from the
Toy
Adventure.
punk.
I had heard it called Stitch Punk,
Stitch punk?
which was nice.
Actually, because that's got the
Yeah.
for steam and
And,
yeah.
that's the game I was trying to think of, Little Big Planet.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Also kind of Stitch punk. No.
Well, I've got rockets and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to think of. Giggle and Hoot.
I have no idea what that
It's
is.
the ABC show for kids.
Never heard of it.
Okay, so there's an
Doesn't
owl,
exist.
which is a toy.
Oh, okay,
that's
no.
a shame. But
It's
they've
an
got
owl.
buttons and that sort of stuff, like the big magic button, which is a giant, oversized sewing button on a device.
Yes.
And they've got their car, which is all stitched together.
Has it
and
got
pasted
buttons for wheels?
Buttons for wheels.
Buttons for wheels.
It's like craft punk.
Has it got a big button for a steering wheel?
It does.
I'm good at this.
You're detecting the pattern.
Yeah, there's a pattern here. I'm detecting buttons. Buttons all the way down. Terry Pratchett wrote Raising Steam most recently, which
Yes.
is very much the Victorian ideal industrialisation of the United Kingdom kind of thing.
Yeah, but would that be steampunk? Because it wasn't really anachronistic.
Well, it's in a fantasy world,
That's true.
where previously all of their technology was powered by magic.
Yes,
So it's anachronistic in and of the morphic resonance of that universe.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you can have different steampunks, like alternate realities within alternate realities.
Yes. Or
It's making my head spin.
yeah, it's a little bit twisty. Because previously it was elephants all the way down,
Yes.
which is kind of magical, and now it's
Except for the
turtles all the way down.
Yes.
I misquoted.
Yeah, because it was turtles all the way down. Elephants would have been the fifth element, which went splat.
Yes, all over the
Still
disc. Still there. Yes. Okay. So TV series, movies. Let's see movies. What do we got? The Amazing Adventures of Adele Blanc-Sec, which is a French film. It's very steampunk in theme.
Yeah.
There's a mad scientist in it that is able to put his mind into the body of a pteranodon, which is kind of cool.
I mean, make some notes.
Yeah, it's very good.
Don't
Yeah,
get any ideas.
I have a copy of it. We bought it on DVD. Amy has the comic.
Oh, cool.
Let's see what else. City of Ember.
Mm-hmm.
Hugo. There's an automaton in that.
Yes, there is. That's the sequel to what's the Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
With was it TikTok?
Yes, Mr. TikTok.
It was cool.
What was that called? Return to Oz.
Return to Oz.
Return to Oz.
That's it.
A lot of people didn't like that movie. They thought it was a bit odd.
Well, it is kind of Oz, so
Sure.
I liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed
I
it.
especially liked TikTok. I think that was my first introduction to steampunk,
Yeah?
way back when.
What was mine? What was mine? Steampunk. Ah, well, actually there's this,
Yes.
which is the first arm I ever built for the Baron, who was, one of his arms got burnt off in the Martian War of 1890 something. But I remember seeing a picture on the internet, some spiderwebs on this, picture on the internet of Abraham Lincoln with his arm replaced with a Gatling gun, which is where I got the design for this from. So the internet is quite fond of steampunk.
They are. Lots of comics nowadays as well. Like there's the, it's not the Steampunk Emporium, but there's a Steampunk Gazette.
Yep.
They're just doing a reboot of a whole bunch of old style comics into a steampunk style.
Oh, cool.
Which I think it's called Legendary. Or am I getting that confused?
Ah, Legendary. That's an actual comic that's coming out. I'm getting that. It's got the Bionic Man, who's the $6,000 man.
Yes. That's £6,000.
No, see, I think it's $6,000 because he's American.
Right.
Red Sonja, Flash Gordon.
Yep. Green Hornet.
The Phantom. I think the Phantom's in it. Maybe I'm thinking of Defenders of the Earth. Green Hornet, definitely.
Yeah.
It's very good.
I've got the first two.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that. Probably should have waited for the trade.
Meh.
Eh.
Support them now. Support the comics, otherwise we don't get any more.
Yes. Yes. Support independent comics, movies, and television.
And especially Dr. Robo.
Dr. Robo.
Dr. Robo?
Atomic Robo. Atomic Robo.
He's Dr.
He's a
Atomic
doctor.
Robo
He's a
Tesla.
doctor. He's a doctor. Yes.
And Carl Sagan says he should make a comic about him when he finds out his name is Dr. Atomic Robo Tesla.
Dart. His name is Dart.
He shouldn't make a comic with that.
No, they shouldn't. No. Music.
Music. Clockwork Quartet.
Professor Elemental.
Mr. B.
Not so much.
He's chap, but he doesn't do much in terms of the anachronism except for the fact he's rapping
Yeah.
in an oldie language.
Well, it is anachronistic.
Yeah.
I like to think of Professor Elemental as airship hop.
Yeah. Abney Park.
Abney Park, definitely. I got to meet them. They're lovely.
Yeah.
A photo with them. Steam Powered Giraffe.
Yes, very much so.
And they're robots,
They are.
apparently. What other? I can't think of any other music. There's probably some Australian ones we're missing out.
Yeah, well, it depends what you define steampunk, because if you get music of the era, there was like Greshka, which was
The Russian.
Romany style.
Yeah, they're very good.
Yeah, but
Saw them live.
yeah, but that's just, can they be steampunk music if they are just of the era and not actually anachronistic?
If they're using modern themes in their music, but they're playing in an anachronistic style, I would still count that.
Yep, okay.
That's my opinion.
Yep. I'm quite interested in the Clockwork Cabaret at the moment, which is a podcast.
Oh, okay.
They select music. Some of it is not as steampunk as I'd imagine, but some of it is very, very steampunky. And they...
No, go on.
I was going to say, they do the show as if they're on an airship.
Oh, nice.
With Lady Attercup and Ms. Merryweather, and they
Yes.
have a robot called Poppy Merryweather.
Oh, okay.
So
Fair
they're
enough.
fairly anachronistic in their portrayal of themselves.
Yeah. I was just thinking. No, it's gone.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it's gone. Yeah.
Where did you see it last?
I can't remember. In my head somewhere.
Phone the police!
Yes, it's been stolen. No. Talking about that, and then my head went that way. No, it's gone.
Right, music?
Music. Oh, Justin Bieber did a steampunk song.
He did. I don't mind it that
Yeah.
much.
I'm not a fan of the lyrics.
No. I mean, it's not really... I'm like this, and I'm fairly old.
Like this.
Justin Bieber, I'm not his target audience.
He's like 7, isn't he?
Oh, he's been arrested for doing some awfully
Oh,
stuff that I don't think he should
okay.
be 7 for.
Fair enough.
But just because I'm not the target audience doesn't
Yeah.
mean I can't appreciate the
True.
aesthetic. And I did like how he did the glove thing and made it like the Michael Jackson sort of
yeah,
glove.
yeah.
I thought that was quite
yeah,
clever.
no. I really like the visuals.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of the song. I really like the film clip.
yeah, that's fair.
We're forgetting.
Yes.
We're forgetting
Oh, don't you remember?
League of Steam.
Yes.
League of Steam. Webisodes.
Webisodes.
Because that's what I was going with the internet. Yes.
Ah, yes.
Podcasts.
Podcasts.
Podcasts. Vlogs.
Vlogs, yes.
Blogs.
Yes. And there's been
Dogs.
a few...
I know what that is.
There we go. There's been a few vodcasts online which take it and do a steampunk show, and other ones which are just taking their own show and adding steampunks to it.
Yes.
Like They did a few things for the Felicia Days channel,
Yes.
Geek and Sundry.
Geek and Sundry.
I mean, she did a steampunk photo shoot.
Yep.
And the young lady who does the comic episodes,
Mm.
she went off and saw Steam Powered Giraffe and
Yeah.
got done up as one of them.
Oh, nice.
Very, very cool episode.
People like Castle have done steampunk episodes.
Oh, yes.
I think NCIS. Was it NCIS or CSI?
There was a bit of controversy about that. Because there was the NCIS episode
Mm.
where they went to a bar called Steampunk
Yes.
just because Abby was goth.
Yes.
And they really did it.
Goth is not steampunk.
No.
But steampunk can be goth.
And goths can choose to do steampunk.
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was apparently very poorly done. I didn't get to see that episode.
I didn't mind it,
Mm.
but I'm a huge fan of NCIS.
There is that.
And I'd marry Abby in a heartbeat. So, yes.
Abby Park.
Abney Park. But yes, no, there's been a number of those
Yeah.
where there's been steampunk elements in a TV show. It was definitely NCIS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. I remember because it was Abby. And,
Yeah.
and she wouldn't be anything else.
Yeah.
Would you
Mm.
class Eureka as steampunk?
Eureka has elements of steampunk, and we're forgetting Warehouse 13, which is in the same
Oh,
universe
naughty us.
as Eureka.
And that's Relic Punk.
It is. It's relic punk and steampunk.
Yeah.
They actually mentioned it in the first episode of the most recent season
Oh.
when something happens and Pete says, "Sorry about the steampunk arty." So it's actually been referenced in Warehouse 13 most recently.
And I've got Datamance's keyboard and
Yeah,
some
yeah.
other setups for him.
Oh,
so-
he did a lot of the artistic direction for that office.
Did he?
Yes. Yeah.
I miss him.
Mm. I'm not wearing a hat. I'd take it off if I did. So yes, Warehouse 13 we were forgetting.
Yes. No, you're remembering.
Yeah, I remembered it.
So that's a lot of pop culture.
Mm.
We've looked at how you can define steampunk in terms of difference to cyberpunk
Mm-hmm.
and in its embrace of anachronism.
Yeah.
We've talked about how Victorian steampunk is really pigeonholing it,
Yeah.
and you need to look externally.
Mm.
I mean, stuff like the Middle East, and how long did they have things like telescopes and
Oh.
all that sort of stuff before?
Maths.
Maths. The number zero.
Yeah. The concept.
The concept zero.
Concept zero.
Yes, it's less of a name and more of a concept.
So I think what we're saying is anything can be steampunk.
Are we saying that?
Yeah, I think we are.
Well, in that case, what's not steampunk? Ducks.
Ducks can be steampunk. You can steampunk a duck.
But a run-of-the-mill duck isn't steampunk. Can you define steampunk by what you have to add to a duck to make it steampunk?
Ah. So what you're saying is paint a copper, stick a cog on it. No, we're not. We're really not saying that. We're not saying that.
No, he's saying that.
I said it. It passed my lips, but I don't mean it.
He's saying it to unsay it.
To unsay it, yes. When I first started in steampunk, I swore blind that I would never buy a Nerf Maverick
Yes.
and paint it copper.
Oh, good for you.
I now own two
Oh.
that are painted copper. However, they are thematic for costumes. I blame Cheyenne Wright for one of them. Cheyenne Wright, you are to blame for one of them. The other is because I didn't have very much money and the Nerf Maverick was the most cheap Nerf gun I could buy.
That actually leads me on to something else.
Oh, okay.
Steampunk lifestylers.
Ooh, people that actually live steampunk.
Yep.
Madness.
Well, there's the Grey Shades Estate. They recently, that's 7 o'clock, did a post talking about how steampunk isn't steampunk anymore. Because when they were doing steampunk, their idea of what steampunk was going back to being able to survive with stuff that you could build and make yourself.
Right.
So
okay.
if you're not, going out and learning how to do woodwork and metalwork and that sort of thing, and that's what I think the Grey Shades Estate is doing. They've taken their yard and made it into a farm, so they're trying to be self-sufficient, learning how to do things themselves. So I view that kind of as taking the futuristic dystopian steampunk idea and preparing for it.
Okay.
There's no point waiting until the collapse of society to learn how to farm a chicken.
So they're not so much making a Victorian era iPod that fits in a backpack, but they are preparing for the time at which Victorian era technology may be required.
Yes.
So that's anachronistic because they're living in our society, which is not a Victorian steampunk society. So yeah, I would count that as steampunk.
Yeah. And I remember them saying that they think steampunk died when the first Nerf Maverick hit their forums to say, hey, I made a steampunk Nerf Maverick. Because instead of being about the anachronism and the using the skills and learning the skills, it was grabbing a Nerf Maverick, painting a copper,
Sticking a cog on it. Yeah. Ooh, It's a really good series of books, there's two, by Aaron Alston called the Doc Shee.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Shee series. They're very steampunk. It's like, what if Doc Savage, which was already anachronistic, was set in a fairy world, F-A-E, fairy, and a lot of stuff's made out of brass, they've got steam-powered cars. So yeah, I would count it as steampunk. Maybe even arcane punk because there's magic users.
Yep, but it's definitely the take a world, put anachronism in it.
Put a spin on it. And cogs spin.
They do.
So, maybe we change it from paint it copper
Yeah,
and stick a cog on it
yeah,
to take the world
yeah.
and put a spin on it.
It's already got a spin. Science! I'm in a lab. I need to come back. Still say that it's science.
Well, just because the world is actually spinning, that's not the kind of spin I'm talking about.
That's fair. Multi-spin.
Multi-spin.
Quantum spin.
Yes. So we should still address cogs.
Yes. Dress cogs. Nice callback, yes. So we were talking earlier about cogs as painted copper, stick a cog in it,
Yeah.
which is unfair.
It's a good place to start.
but it needs to be expanded upon.
Correct.
So one of the things that I really like is, I actually do like seeing cogs involved in the design because clockwork, etc. But if it's a device, I think cogs have to look like they've got a function.
Yes.
The same thing if you've got a crystal powered or relic powered, it has to be tied into something to actually make it look like it's meant to be there for a pseudo-scientific purpose.
So don't just stick a crystal on the side of something and expect it to be crystal punk. Maybe add a metal cap to it and a wire running from the crystal to the device.
Yeah.
Like for example, I have a cog on my rebreather, but it actually looks like it's part of the rebreathing apparatus. So it actually looks like it has a function. I haven't just whacked it on the side.
Yep, and the cog at the top of the Cyceratops containment unit,
Yes.
it looks like it's a lock for opening and shutting it.
Uh,
But cogs as decoration, that can work too. If it's something which is actually meant to be decorative,
Yeah.
like you were mentioning before, earrings.
earrings,
Like
necklaces.
they're meant to be a device, like an interesting pattern. And you can also call back to steampunk anachronistic stuff. Like the Professor Von Explaino's got his logo, which is a cog background.
Yep.
I've made that to be one of his first devices blew up.
Yeah.
He keeps a cog from that to remind him about that, and
Really?
that's why it's incorporated into the design.
The Rosier badges, the
Yes.
Royal Ornithological Society for Electron Adventures, generally have a cog on them, on the wings.
But it's a cog as a graphical device.
Yes.
A friend of ours who attends numerous markets, Merrin,
Marin.
makes.
Merrin.
Hey, hopefully you watch it. Hopefully people watch
Yeah,
it.
that'd be nice. Yeah. Otherwise, we're just doing this for nothing.
Which we would do anyway.
Yes,
But
that's
she
true.
made umbrellas.
Yes,
and-
with cog designs on them.
Yeah, and they worked really well. So you can't just say, oh, you've just stuck a cog on it, that's rubbish. It can actually be nice, and it can actually be steampunk.
Yeah.
But if you're just whacking cogs on something to turn it into steampunk,
Yeah.
maybe that's what I'm getting at. If you're putting cogs on something because they look nice,
Yep.
that's cool. If you think just by sticking a cog onto something you make it steampunk,
Buying a Nerf gun, sticking a cog on it.
yeah. But buying a Nerf gun, painting it copper, and incorporating cogs into it so it looks like it's part of the design.
Functional. It's got to look like
Excellent
it's functional.
steampunk. Yeah.
I agree.
So that's our call.
Cogs. Cogs for function, or jewellery.
Yeah. Decorative devices.
Cogs as theme. Maybe.
Cogs as theme.
Cogs as
Yeah.
theme.
That works.
Function and appearance, but not the appearance of non-function.
Ooh, I like that because if you're just sticking a cog on something and it doesn't like it's functional, that actually breaks the
Yeah.
illusion because it looks like
Yeah.
it's not functional.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And things like earrings and
Earrings, necklace.
the patterns on an umbrella,
Tattoos.
they're not meant to function.
No.
So
no, they're
why not stick cogs on it?
Yeah, that works.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. The classics,
Yes.
which we didn't address before I stormed off in a huff. But we stormed back in a huff, so that's okay.
Okay. We've parked the huff in a
Yeah.
no huffing zone.
Yes. The classics.
Mhm.
We mentioned briefly Frankenstein,
Yes, Mary Shelley.
Jules Verne,
Yep.
all the Jules Verne stuff, 20,000 Leagues, Earth to the Moon,
Yep.
Twilight. No, that wasn't Jules Verne.
No,
No.
similar though.
Yeah.
H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I like to play silly buggers with steampunk. I came up with the wave scale, which is Wells
Yep.
versus Verne,
Yep.
in terms of how technologically accurate
Yep.
your anachronism is.
Okay.
So you've got Jules Verne,
Yep.
who really went into the mechanisms of the Nautilus and of the rocket,
Yep.
and investigated it. He was a very, very clever man. And it's anachronistic because
He did create Cavorite from whole cloth.
that's H.G. Wells.
Was it H.G. Wells or the
Carverite was from Earth to the Moon. I think.
Oh, it was too. Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, my bad.
So yeah,
Walk
Carverite.
of shame.
And Stroll.
Oh,
The strut of shame,
I'll
because you
go
know what, we
video.
like shame here. It's the strut of shame.
I'll come back.
Well done.
Yeah, it's only a short walk.
Of a long bit.
Yes.
But H.G. Wells, he needed to get people onto the moon to explore
Yes.
social relationships. Carverite. Metal, defies gravity. Metal,
Yes.
rock, crystal. But when
Crystal.
Verne did the rocket, he actually looked into the science of rockets and
Rocketry.
actually had rocketry and explosions
He
and
did
fluff.
Yes.
So even within the classics of Wells versus Verne
Mm-hmm.
and anachronistic technology, you've got a scale of anachronism
Yes.
in terms of, well, we know that the science is sound, even if Verne got a few things wrong, but it was too far advanced for the time.
Correct.
H.G. Wells, I want to get someone to the moon, Rock did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Pure narrative.
Yeah, Narrativium, I think I've got some up here.
You do. So there.
Yeah,
Yes.
Narrativium.
Narrativium. Very hard to find in nature.
Mm.
So let's see. Verne, Wells.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for example, the Baron is very much based in the Martian Wars,
Yes.
which was
War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells.
Hmm.
So that's the other thing. You can use classics to inform your character
Mm.
if you want, if you wish. I did. You don't have to.
Mhm.
Uh,
There's utterly nothing wrong with getting inspiration
Hmm.
from the masters.
yes. Would we count Doctor Who as steampunk at all?
That's IKEA punk.
Not modern Doctor Who.
Oh, carpet punk.
Classic
Bubble wrap punk.
bubble wrap punk. Yeah. Well, not the monsters. I mean, you look at some of the console rooms.
Gravel
Like,
punk.
one of Tom Baker. Yeah, yeah. Quarry punk, I think. you'll
That's
find.
it, my mistake.
I think you find one of Tom Baker's console rooms was very steampunk.
Yeah.
With a shaving mirror.
Yeah.
And
A lot of the modern ones were quite steampunk.
yeah, John Pertwee. John Pertwee had a very sort of Victorian gentleman sort of feel to him. To his
Yeah.
costume.
Yep, the dapper ruff and everything.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was
And
very
his,
dapper.
international man of mystery.
Yep.
Or interspatial,
Interstellar.
intertemporal,
Interdimensional.
interdimensional man of mystery.
Yep.
Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So we've kind of wandered from the classics, though. Although Doctor Who's kind of classic.
It's classified. Now, well, if we wanted to include non-classics, you got David Tennant's console, which he repeatedly hit with a hammer.
Yes, yes.
Percussive maintenance.
Percussive maintenance.
Very
yes.
steampunk.
Yeah. They never did a steampunk episode of Star Trek.
Didn't they?
No. They had the callbacks to like Rocket Punk with Captain Proton in Voyager.
Yeah.
That was very sort of Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon, by the way.
Yes.
Rocket Punk.
Sherlock Holmes.
Don't really count Sherlock Holmes as steampunk. However, the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock
Yes.
Holmes has definite elements of steampunk to it.
But the traditional written word Sherlock Holmes is Victoriana.
Very few of them were actually set in the Victorian period.
Really? Edwardian?
No. But often I saw a documentary on Sherlock Holmes, mostly focused on the movies. However, a lot of the stories were not written in the period for which we attribute Sherlock Holmes.
Crikey.
Same with the movies. Like the Robert Downey Jr. is set in that period.
Yes.
However, it's one of the exceptions.
Wow, I have to take a stroll of shame.
Yeah, I'll stand over here. Yeah. I could possibly be proved wrong, you know. So, but the documentary claimed that a lot of Sherlock Holmes was actually anachronistic to the period that we attribute it to. Because if you look, for example, the two most notable television series at the moment, which is Elementary, which is set in modern day New York, and Sherlock, which is set in modern day London.
Yes.
Sherlock itself follows a lot of the stories, whereas Elementary doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's anachronistic to the period in which it was originally written, but that's a theme from Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
And we're informing you now.
The more you know.
Yes. Although I wouldn't put it past, Sherlock Holmes stories to be considered steampunk.
Yeah.
H.G. Wells' Time Machine, the various versions of that,
Yes.
definitely steampunk.
Yep.
Or crystal punk, because his machine worked on a giant crystal.
Yep.
And that was taken out for no good reason that was determined in the narrative. It stopped working.
Plot bearing crystal.
Plot bearing crystal. Yes. Time Machine, so that's H.G. Wells. Classics.
I can't think of many others.
Invisible Man.
Yes. Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Which is biopunk with the potion.
Yeah. I wouldn't count the Picture of Dorian Gray, that's horror.
Yeah.
There's a murderer with a mystical picture. Well, arcane punk, maybe.
Yeah. But it's not really an anachronism, is it?
No,
it's
'cause
just magic.
Yeah, it's working within that world. However, he was included in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which I still like. I know a lot of people don't like it. Steampunkers out there are, moving away from the video in droves just because I said that I like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. However, I do prefer the comic.
Yes.
It's very dark.
It's
Very dark. Very
For
dark.
sure.
What else we got that's classic? What else would you call a classic?
I'm not sure, really.
Invisible Man.
Yeah.
We did
Richard
that.
Dunn. Frankenstein with Mary Shelley.
Frankenstein.
I wouldn't put Lovecraft in it.
No.
Because that's just horror and squeak.
Yeah.
There's not really anachronisms in there.
Well, modern Cthulhu tales probably no.
No, because that's just looking back to
Yeah.
look back.
Yep. Really is. Mutant Chronicles, which was a card game, had a lot of steampunk themes to it.
Hellboy.
Hellboy, definitely steampunk.
It's more arcane punk, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at some of the design. Okay, from a design perspective, very steampunk.
Yeah, I guess. I'll give it that, yes.
Design perspective, but the themes, I would go arcane punk because they're dealing with a magical world.
Yep.
You look at the giant ogre in Hellboy 2 that had the mechanical fist.
Yep.
That had a chain that ratcheted it back.
Yep.
You could fire off. That was pretty steampunk.
Yep.
The Golden Army.
Mm-hmm.
Arcane punk, but with a steampunk theme.
Yep.
Lots of cogs there.
Yep.
Let's see. Any books that we forgot?
I don't know. I think we're actually going to have to do some
Oh,
research on this.
Modern books. Sherry
Modern?
Priest.
Yeah.
Jim Butcher's writing a steampunk
Yep.
series. I spoke to him briefly at a convention. He's very keen to explore steampunk. It kind of helps that I was dressed as the Baron at the time.
Yes. You held 5 guns to his head?
No. I had my mummy,
Okay.
the arm of Pharaoh Vecna Karmun. That's a D&D joke. Look it up. Vecna. The arm.
Speaking of that, role-playing games.
Ah, yes.
Spelljammer.
Spelljammer. Eberron.
Mm-hmm.
Very steampunk in theme.
Yep. And there's some etherpunk ones, which I like that.
Adventure, which is pulp,
Yep.
but it harks back to that.
Yep.
That's adventure with an exclamation mark, by the way.
Yep. I think they're making a new version soon.
World of Darkness? Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
They're revisiting the Trinityverse.
Other role-playing games.
There's Victoriana.
Yeah. Space 1999. 1899. Space 1899.
1889. Space 1, number 9.
Yeah. 1899.
I think it's 1889.
1889?
I've got the book upstairs.
Yeah, that's okay.
Could be bothered.
Yeah. Other role-playing games. World of Darkness had a Victorian setting.
Yes. Which is a bit anachronistic.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well, it's
if you
because modern people were playing it.
Yeah, you put any gamers in an old station, they'll
Yeah.
recognise it. I remember how to make gunpowder.
No, you don't. It doesn't exist yet, you idiot.
Squirrels.
Yeah, everywhere.
The Gold Genius
Role-playing game?
card game.
A card game, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's even got the cog mechanism of your turning the characters.
Yeah, true. And there's a miniatures game which the name escapes me, and it's all zeppelins and
Oh yeah. Zeppelin Attack?
no,
That's a new one.
Is
That's
it?
pulp.
I haven't seen that one.
Mm.
But there's a steampunk miniatures game which I've no idea the name of it because I don't play miniatures games because I have a mortgage. Also, why I don't play card games because I have a mortgage.
Damn your mortgage.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering, no,
Well, no.
no.
No, just say no to Magic the Gathering.
No. Unless you like it, and that's fine.
And say yes.
Yeah, then say yes.
Or say put it on pause and give me all the money that you'd be spending on cards.
Card games, computer games.
Yep.
Do we do computer games?
We haven't really done those.
Bioshock.
Bioshock was very biopunk.
Yeah.
Which was yeah, it's steampunk in that it's again looking back to the future with the underwater city.
Uh,
Art
The
Deco.
Alice games? Did they have themes? No, they didn't.
No, they don't really focus on the anachronism, and that could be where another thing, which is the difference between steampunk, is they're focusing on the anachronism.
Yes. Putting the anachronism in a spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that could be one of the reasons why we can't really classify the modern world as Tesla punk. Because you turn on a light switch and then, yes, don't spend the next 5 paragraphs of the book explaining how wonderful that is. You've just turned on a light switch.
Yes, true. It's very true. Mythbusters. Are Mythbusters steampunk?
No,
No.
they're barely science.
Okay. So check. They haven't done a steampunk episode, which surprises me, because they're usually right on the top of all pop culture.
Yeah, well, I've done a few ones like Archimedes' Mirror, Weapon, and that sort of stuff, so...
Yeah.
They're focusing more on the historical rather than the ridiculous in that one.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll give you that. Can't think of anything else. What else want to talk about?
New events.
Oh, new events. Yes, we should talk about new events.
Not really related to the history or lack thereof of steampunk, but an announcement.
An announcement. Coming up in June?
July. 19th.
Is it July 19th?
Yes. I'm late.
Not now. July 19th in Brisbane, we're doing a Steampunk Ghostbusters charity ball at Cloudland, which is in the fringe of the valley.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still a safe spot to be. It's not sort of out on the dark edges where horror occurs. But yes, July 19th in Brisbane, we're doing the Steampunk Ghostbusters charity ball.
Raising money for
the Cancer Council. Tickets are $60. They're available online. Just look on. We'll put a link.
Yes.
Put a link.
Links in the link notes.
Links in the link notes. Get your tickets soon because they are selling quite quickly. The other thing is you get a ticket, and when you get to the event, your proof of entry will be a lovely little Steampunk Ghostbusters metal badge that will show that you've paid your money and you have the right to enter.
And you keep it.
You get to keep it. Yes, it's collectible. That's another thing steampunks like. They like collecting things.
They do.
They do.
Too crazy.
Yeah. And going back actually to the Steampunk Ghostbuster thing, something that just occurred to me.
Mm-hmm.
People like to take, and it's the anachronism thing, but it's story anachronism rather than technology anachronism. Mm-hmm. For example, the Steampunk Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters, which is a modern day story, and we have now a group in Brisbane of Steampunk Ghostbusters based on the 1980 movie, and we have proton packs and containment units, and we have PKE meters that hang off our belt that are actually 1930s battery cell testers that we've happened to find on eBay.
Nice.
And they actually still work. Mine works. I took it downstairs and opened the bonnet of my car and I put it down, and it told me that it had 12 volts. It was great. So taking modern ideas, not necessarily technology, but taking modern stories and saying, what would this look like if it was steampunk? For example, the $6,000 man before in Legendary.
So basically what we're talking about is steampunk is an anachronizer.
Yeah.
So you have a box, you put something modern in it, throw the switch, and it's anachronized.
See what comes out, yeah. So, I'm going to say it again.
Yes.
Yeah. Take the world
Yes.
and put a spin on it. Oh, God.
And that's the tradition of us ending the show by walking up shut, upset with